Hello and welcome to the installation and setup guide for the Aerpro FP9650 SK. This kit suits Ford Falcon FG and variants. This fascia features a built-in magnetic phone holder, allowing you to securely attach your phone to the fascia kit. This is what we have included. Satin black double DIN fascia with mounting kit and control unit pre-installed, also available in piano black, satin black or piano black top dash panel, magmate plate, ISO harness, universal steering wheel control patch lead, antenna adapter, video in and out lead, and the user manual. If your vehicle has factory OEM reverse sensors or factory reverse camera, an Aerpro CHFO1B and APV-FD02 is required for it to be compatible with this fascia kit. You'll also need to purchase a head unit ISO harness specifically to match the type of head unit you plan to install with this fascia kit. Please visit aerpro.com and type in the head unit you wish to install in order to find what head unit ISO harness you will need. A small chart is also visible on the side of the gift box to help with selection. Before we continue, the FP9650 SK you're about to install will also control your factory heating and cooling system. To ensure correct functionality, please confirm the factory system is functioning correctly prior to installation. This controller will not fix any prior issues with the heating and cooling system. This kit will not convert a single zone vehicle to a dual zone. To confirm the factory system is fully functional, follow these steps. Check fan speed control. Check vents change correctly from the footwells to the face vents and then the windscreen vents. Check the system changes temperature correctly. Confirm dual zone separates temperature correctly if your vehicle supports it. Check that the air conditioning compressor can be enabled and disabled at will. If your system is deemed not to be functioning correctly, it is advised to have it fixed before this kit is installed. When installing the fascia kit, please only use a screwdriver to hand tighten the screws. Using a power tool may over tighten the screws and damage the fascia kit. You will need the following tools to install this kit: Phillips head screwdriver, prying tool, 8mm ratchet, electrical tape, side cutters, pick tool, and cable ties. Lastly, before disassembly, eject any CDs from your factory stereo if applicable, as you will not be able to do so after it is being removed. First, put the car into drive and firmly pull the storage compartment out. There are a total of 4 8mm bolts that will need to be removed from behind the storage compartment. 1 on either side and 2 at the back. Bear in mind that the 2 bolts at the back are shorter than the ones removed from the sides. We can then disconnect the antenna plug from the bottom. Moving to the top of the stereo, the top plate panel needs to be taken out by prying it from the sides. Unscrew the 2 Phillips head screws and pull out the plug. We can then take out the stereo by putting your hand on the bottom and the top and then pull towards you. We can now proceed with disassembling the stereo outside the vehicle. There are 4 screws holding in the metal plates on both sides of the stereo. This gives us access to 3 Phillips screws holding in the vent. 1 on either side and 1 on the bottom. Unhook the cable from the cable management clip on the side of the vent and it can be then pulled out. Before we move on to installing the vents, we can change a few settings on the back of the climate control unit to support a Sony head unit or change from NTSC to PAL for the reverse camera. Please refer to the instruction manual for more details on changing these settings. We can then move on to installing the vents on the FP9650 SK fascia. Again, a Phillips head screw on either side and 1 on the bottom. Now we can install our aftermarket head unit. Please note, some full-body double DIN units are longer than others and some may not leave enough clearance behind the unit when installed into the vehicle. It is recommended to check the clearance before continuing installation. First, we slide in the aftermarket head unit and lightly secure it with a screw on either side. Then adjust the head unit forward or backward, ensuring that the front of the head unit is flush with the fascia. Once in the correct position, tighten the screws to keep in place. We can then move on to plugging in the cable harnesses. We'll first plug in the ISO harness to the control unit. You can use the cable management clip on the side of the vent to route the cable towards the head unit. We then connect the video in and out lead from the control unit to the head unit reverse camera input on the radio. The reversing camera wiring must be connected between the fascia and the aftermarket radio, even if a reversing camera is not to be installed. Otherwise, the vehicle's display will not show on the aftermarket screen. You will also need to make sure the reverse camera trigger is connected. If your vehicle supports a reverse camera, we would plug in the reverse camera input into the reverse camera plug. If you want to retain the factory reverse camera in your vehicle, you will need an APV-FD02 OEM camera retention adapter. This harness has two plugs to suit both the Series 1 and Series 2 vehicles, depending on the type of vehicle variant you have. If your vehicle supported a reverse sensor, you would connect this cable from the provided ISO harness to the CHFO-1B. The next step is to connect the universal patch lead between the control unit and head unit, ensuring that the correct wire loops on the back of the connector are cut correctly depending on the head unit being used. This step must be done before the system is connected to the car and receives power for the first time. Next is connecting the secondary ISO harness specific to your head unit. In this case, an APP8CLA4 secondary ISO harness was used specifically for this Clarion head unit that is being installed. Make sure that you connect the necessary connectors that are applicable to your model head unit. Once everything is connected and secured, we can then move on to installing the system into your vehicle. Start by resting the top of the fascia in your vehicle, lifting the bottom, giving you access to plug in the antenna lead and ISO harness to your vehicle as shown. We can then gently place the fascia into the space. Now would be a good time to start up and test out the head unit and buttons before fixing the system to the vehicle, making sure to test climate control buttons, steering wheel controls, and reverse tone if applicable. If everything works correctly, we can begin fixing the FP9650 fascia to the vehicle in the reverse order that the factory system was taken out. Bear in mind that no screws are needed to install the FP9650 in your vehicle. However, we must first take out the fascia to fit in the provided top dash panel. Once the top dash panel is clipped in and secured, we can then clip in the fascia. Finally, push in the storage compartment. Now we'll move on to how to use the FP9650 The arrows on the right adjust the heating and cooling temperature. If you had a dual climate system, this would adjust the right and left climate. We have the rear demister button. Mode changes the different vent combinations. AC button toggles the aircon on or off. Holding down this button will turn off both heating and cooling, which only works for models that had a dedicated AC off button prior to upgrade. Front demister button. Door lock, door unlock. The fan up and down buttons adjust fan speed. When the heating is on and fan is at 0, no warm air is pushed out. However, if the AC is on and the fan is at 0, there will still be a small amount of cold air being pushed out through the vents. Hazard light button. Dynamic stability control button, which only works on Ford models that supported this feature prior to upgrade. Next is the in-cabin light toggle. The auto button will automatically adjust the climate control system to a specified temperature. We have the air circulation button switching between the different modes. The arrows on the left adjust the heating and cooling temperature. If you had a dual climate system, it would adjust the left side of the vehicle. Lastly, the menu, which will show the climate info screen. To access the configuration menu, we can hold down the menu button for a few seconds. Pressing the menu button again to enter the menu, we can navigate to the preferences of the control unit using the fan up and down buttons. When we enter the vehicle settings, we are presented with a lot of options that were available on the pre-existing head unit. Refer to your car's manual for what each of these settings do. In the Info Adapter settings menu, we have Retained Accessory Power is to control what the head unit does after the vehicle is turned off. When set to off, the head unit will turn off as soon as the key is taken out of the ignition. When set to on, the head unit will only turn off after the key is taken out and the driver's door is opened. Climate Screen Timeout is the time it takes for the climate control screen to return to the head unit screen. AC panel brightness is the brightness of the LEDs on the climate control panel. Reverse priority allows the selection of either the camera video feed or the park sensor image when the vehicle is in reverse. You can also restore factory settings to reset everything to default. Inside the configuration menu, we can access the install menu if we press the fan up and fan down buttons at the same time. First on the list is where we can change between single climate system or dual climate system. However, you can run a dual climate system in single mode if you prefer. Screen size and position allows you to adjust the control unit screen, such as the menus and the climate control screen, if it doesn't quite fit to your head unit's display. If your vehicle supported a reverse camera system and was connected when installing the fascia, then this setting should be turned on, so that when the car is in reverse, it switches the display automatically. Diagnostics is a way to check the interface is communicating with the vehicle properly by showing triggers like steering button selection and reverse gear selection, for example. If you wanted to program a new car remote, the process is the same as is stated in the car's manual. You would still press the rear demister 3 times. We recommend using an authorized Aerpro dealer that offers an installation service to install our products. The firmware update cable is only available to authorized dealers. Never cut or modify a harness, as this could damage the head unit and vehicle, as well as void the warranty of the product. This concludes an overview, installation and setup guide of the FP9650 SK fascia kit for Ford Falcon FG and variants. There is the potential for additional types and compatibilities in future updates. Please visit aerpro.com to check if a new version is available. You do not need to do this if your system is operating correctly. If you have a compatibility issue that cannot be rendered by a firmware update, then please contact us directly to advise us your situation so that we can investigate the issue.